All right, so part one, I made it clear to you why the dragon is a play on words for the nerd. Okay, the nerd is telling people to go away. Nerd go, scramble, right? Replace the A with an E, scramble the dragon. Nerd go, drain, right? They're sapping the spirit of God from society with the reproduction. These scientific racists, hey guys, we can, over time as eugenicists, we'll sterilize them, we'll make the culture this way. You know, it's a bunch of nerds. Bookworms, worm, the archaic word for snake, going back to their no gear and the N word, right? No gear, Nigeria, right? Biafra, Biafra, it's right there. It's aimed at the Nigerians, it's aimed at the Biafrans, and it's aimed at Ari's call center, A-Ra, ear, I, Ari, okay? A-Ra, Haru, Kwa, backwards, Hawk, the H is the fence, it can be removed. Haru is A-Ra, he is Ari, he is Aries royal line. Now moving on. So let's look at the rape culture, the opposition view to the African pure sun temple, pure noble martial art argument. There's the most diverse continent, okay, the most honorable ancient martial arts culture is the Igbo Ari martial art culture. Chukwu, the great chi, right? God, the spirit of God, where it overlaps with your energy, how you perceive him, right? You know, that's why he's called Chukwu, right? Chukwu and his son, Ari, right? Ari came down from heaven, from the sky, okay? Anyway, so the opposition view to this is the core of sexual desire, right? Which is your penis, instead of the core of the heart, the seat of intelligence, the sky god, okay? So the core is sexual desire that causes them to want to control reproduction. In part one, I went over how rape is a play on words backwards for e-pair or e-pour, right? Which is referring to, you know, semen, basically, you know, ejaculation. Anyway, so we move on to two. What is the rape cycle? What is the cycle of rape? There's a cycle of gangs and poverty in the black community. What is the cycle of rape? Well, it starts off with people being out of touch with morality, right? Morality, more reality. When you're out of touch with morality, you're out of touch with reality. How could that not be the case? Go ahead, pause it, work the angles, try to prove me wrong. Okay? Then it goes on to females who are like, they're out of touch with the threat that they're facing, whether they're intoxicated or not. And there is a cultural determinant here. It is their culture. It is Western culture, for example. It is their culture. It is cultures all over the world to be out of touch with what rape actually means. It means getting women to do something sexual that they wouldn't otherwise do. That's why Jesus' image is Serapis. See, rape is. Okay? Serapis. Number two, raped and mind state change. Trauma-based mind control. The change of your subconscious and your unconscious controlling your behavior. Scientists have known this for a long, long time. Before the word science even existed, they were experimenting with this in Sumer, in Egypt, in Babylon, and so on. Okay, it changes your mind state. They start acting like bitches. Sometimes they turn into lesbians. Sometimes they cut themselves. They respond in a certain way that makes them easier to control. And those who are less sensitive to this particular form of injustice are more applicable to the rape cult order, as long as they don't pinpoint the core of the problem and insist, as long as they don't pinpoint the core of the problem, they can be sensitive to it. Okay, as long as they take it out on the poor men and so on and so forth. Anyway, number three. Okay, the next step. They refuse to correct the problem. The only way to correct the problem of rape is to prioritize dating the hero. This is a war. You have to find a hero. Okay, this takes a masculine form of intelligence to address. If you don't find a good man, remember, good guys finish last. That's part of the cycle. Okay, if you don't find the good guy, you're just with another rapist. And the good guy must do what? Listen carefully. He must do three obvious things. Pause it after I say them, write them down, work the angles, try to find a more valid counterargument. You can't. And if you can't, you must concede. Number one, they must insist on Horus, son of Ra's argument. the martial art order. This is the order of the men you should revere. That's the point of reference, the top martial artist who is in the reproductive and the spiritual kind of repetition of righteousness. It's forging an intense, focused martial artist. Maneuver, man, eye, over, main eye, over, right? He's focused and he outmaneuvers and he strikes effectively. Surge, I call. Surge, I kill. When you get this righteous surge of spirit, you focus it more effectively and you pinpoint and strike and the guy falls over dead. If you've been watching my videos, you can tell the way I'm moving now is more precise than I have been moving in my other videos. Because this is righteousness as I tell you the truth, knowing there's no better argument to be made. If there's no better argument to be made about the ideal man, why wouldn't you want to look at it that way when rape has to do with less than ideal men preying on women because they are not in the they're not bred to have this military war martial art mind. Where? A-war-E. Where is the war? It's in the spiritual realm. It's in the physical realm. It's a mind, body, soul, reproduction war. The sun disk. It's a symbol of reproduction, life, love, and God. The force, the marshaling force of the sun, the core of the sun is the spirit of God that created it. Okay, Ra means the core of the sun, the strength of the sun, God. And the core of the strength is God. Right? The more you focus on the core, the more you pinpoint what God actually is, and that creates a better man who can't turn his back on the reality of God. Morality, the more reality, the reality of God. More L, more God, more Lord, not lard, which has to do with your stomach and the semen floating into it. It is prioritizing the spirit. If you can't bring in the spirit of God, you are evil. If you reproduce, you are E-vi-L, not A-vi-L. You are L to vie with the true alpha over who's in charge. Number two, remember, he must insist on the Horus argument. Number two, he must bring her to the hero. He is the Redeemer. No one gets to heaven but by the top martial artist who came to bring an understanding of the sword, so that you can wield the sword, a sharp sword that will cut your flesh in this evil world, but to damn those who fight against you to hell. They will be sealed as those who are the children of God, the lost sheep, the lost shape of eyes, Ra, El, worship, war, shape, and those who seek to come into it in the true order with the Redeemer with no ill-gotten gains, and those who don't. Number three, they will submit to the divine order and the judgment of Pharaoh. Okay? That's what you must do to redeem, what you must do to repent, especially in terms of reproduction. I say, well, I'll do everything you say, but don't tell me who to sleep with. Don't tell me, one way or another. Where is the more viable counterargument? It's also the difference. My truth is in the light. If I say, hey, you must divorce this guy, and this is why, go ahead and present a viable counterargument. Okay, but at the end of the day, when we're kind of working the angles, right? You have to understand where your complex is and where mine isn't. Why would I lie about this thing? I'm doing things in a way, for example, right now that's not getting me attractive women. There's a special emphasis on shunning me because of what I'm doing. And there's a lot of reasons why I'm right about that. I'm going to fucking, work the angles if you want. Okay? Moving on. Number 4, the mental health argument is they want to create more complexes in the person. To deal with their complex from being raped, they want them to say, think of it this way. Now they're disassociating more. Part of the problem here is that people are disassociating and is causing a disorder in the spiritual realm, if you will, in the natural martial arts order, if you will. It's a dissociative disorder, but not as defined by those who seek to make an order out of chaos with people in a chaotic, disassociated tech for taking, right? Technique, tech take, and technique, right? Tech for taking kind of devil, kind of George Bush order. So, when we look at the war on terror, right? Who started it? The guy talking about a new world order in a way that most people heard of. When they heard of someone saying it, someone of note, it usually goes to George Bush, right? And his son, who started the war on terror, right, after 9/11. Okay? And what is in the war on terror? You have ISIS. And I'll put the picture on the screen of, this is basically the Romans with a white kind of culture head, a white head priest, and you have black people among them in significant positions because they know ultimately this comes from a certain group of black people, but ultimately ISIS is a whore in rebellion. You know, she's the wife of Osiris, not the wife of Horus, son of Ra, but the mother of Horus, son of Osiris. It's a story for another day. So you have ISIS, and you have the culture pictures. You have the falcon, the falconeers of the Arabs, Saudi Arabian royal family, royal falconeers, right? These guys train falcons, and they do cute tricks, right? You know, instead of the falcon giving them the natural message, right? What is the falcon symbolic of? And what does it mean for the martial art order? Instead, they're like, we're going to train the martial arts. They're on some bitch shit. Okay? A bunch of greedy, oil baron scum. There's the crescent moon-shaped swords, the ceremonial daggers, the warrior daggers that mimic the martial artist, the samurai kind of sidearm, right? Wakasashi or whatever it's called. You have the ninja outfit, and you have the Egyptian presence, in the Arab presence, Semite presence in Egypt, and you have the 9/11 pilot who was Egyptian. All this stuff is obvious that the war on terror is about controlling reproduction, who's fucking who, and controlling the movements of people, controlling drugs and technology, who is raping who and why. Okay? That's another way to exert dominance over someone. Look at prison, is to rape them. Okay, you're dumb if you don't see what this is really about. You don't see a bunch of neocons and rednecks going, America! You know, historically raping everybody. And the same historical manifest destiny, manifest the ships, manifest the Igbo people, the Igbo King, Rodney King, Martin Luther King, treat you like a king. If you don't see the man-eye fest and connected to the freak fest and the Greco-Roman orgies, you're out of your fertility cult denying having fucking mind. Okay? Anyway. So, what is the determinant rape? How do they justify it? Okay? How do they justify it? They say this bitch is a stupid bitch that shuns good men. And she is going to be outsmarted. This is going to work. And she is not going to go to great lengths to get revenge because she is a sheep, a cattle, and so on. Right? Of course, incidentally, on the American flag, you don't have the sun. You have the colors of Hathor, which is a cow, going back to the cattle, herding the cattle, the cowboy, and so on and so forth. All right. Women basically are guilty of prioritizing life in this world, right? Everyone outside the divine order is, but this is particularly what they take advantage of, right? Since they prioritize life in the world, the bull, the jackal, the wolf, etc., they're howling and rejoicing like Lupercalia, or whatever it's called, lupus, right? And ludus, you know, sex as, love as a game and a fetish with multiple partners and conquest and sport. Ludus, right? Connects to lupus and Lupercalia, which is February 13th to February 15th, which is what Valentine's Day is really about. It's about the wolf. It's about sex cults. It's about weirdos and Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, all this stuff. It connects to that, and ultimately through Cleopatra and all this stuff, it connects to Egypt in more than one way. And then you have Lycopolis in Egypt. You have the wolf associated with Osiris, leading Osiris into combat, leading the pharaoh into combat. There's all kinds of connections here. The werewolf, the Nazis and the werewolf den, and so on and so forth. Beware of wolves in sheep's fucking clothing. Okay? I pretty much, between part 1 and part 2, I spelled it out for people. You know. Don't forget the nerd is the core of the problem. It is ultimately where the other martial artists are going with it. You know, they're at the gym working with technology, nugenics, right? They're literally taking drugs called nugenics, pills, that help them increase their testosterone, right? And they expect you to believe that eugenics has nothing to do with the war on terror and American values, and part of American values being women going to the gym and showing off their tits and their butts and dressing like sluts, versus the Muslim woman, I'm not a Muslim, you know, covering herself up, and the Virgin Mary covering herself up. They think you are so fucking stupid, cowardly, evil, and so on and so forth, right? And what's sad, you know, an ultra-conformist and having false pride and so on and so forth, and in defiance of God. And what's sad is they seem to be right.